open session because we began our meeting this evening with closed session. So the first item, we are going to start with our public comments on the agenda. If we have any public comments this evening, please go ahead and type those into the chat box on Zoom and we'll read them into the meeting. And we'll give everyone like a minute or so to do that.
Difficulty hearing.
Okay.
We're turning off some machines, so it's easier.
Yeah,
to hear.
there are a number of machines in the room that they're unplugging right now, so hopefully that'll help. Do we have any other comments? Eric, we don't have other comments, correct?
No, we're good.
Okay, then we will move on to presentations.
All right, we have one presentation this evening, and it is our end of the year goals and priority update. Mr. Hanson, do you mind projecting that for us? And I think if you would have told us, or me, I'm going to speak for myself, 7 months ago, that we would have gotten to this point, knowing where we started, because usually as a district, we present these to you in August, knowing how the school year started and then didn't start and then restarted and then didn't start and then restarted again. We came up with our goals with the input of the district leadership team, as well as board members, as well as our professional advisory council. And for the members of the audience, our professional advisory council, again, is 3 teachers from each of our buildings and the entire district leadership team. And we came up with goals. We always stick with the same 5 goal areas, which is academic excellence, professional excellence, operational excellence, financial excellence, and excellence in communications. And then we look at our targets and what are the most pertinent, important targets that we need to accomplish this year, and then what strategies do we use to accomplish those targets. And then at the end of this year, which is right around now, we go through the evidence and kind of give you a summary. We didn't do a mid-year goals update. We don't do it with evidence. We just do it kind of like an update to give you a progress check. So for our new board members, this is a great opportunity for us to showcase all the accomplishments that the entire district, staff, students, as well as our leadership team with the board support has accomplished. So each one of us has a part in presenting. So I'm going to start out with our first goal, which is academic excellence, and Dr. Drago will start us off.
Yeah, so our first goal is academic excellence, and our first target was to strengthen instructional leadership and improve instructional quality. So this year, like we do every year, we developed our professional learning plan. And so that professional learning plan is really aligned around the Charlotte Danielson framework for teaching. And so all of the activities that take place throughout the year that we provide for teachers and administrators are aligned with that framework for teaching to strengthen our instructional practices. This year, however, we had some additional days. Those remote learning planning days were included. And then at the beginning of the school year, we had 2 institute days that were focused on remote learning planning. So our professional learning plan this year was slightly more robust to accommodate for the remote learning environment. And then within the presentation, there's a couple of links related to the West Oak Middle School SIP plan and how they used that plan to strengthen instructional quality, and then also a post and pre-observation protocol that helped reflect on any professional development activities. Additionally in there, and I will present in June on the STAR and FMP data, I'll share with you some information that we gather after we conclude our assessments this week and next. The second target focuses on the framework for remote teaching. So this year, because we were in a remote learning environment, we provided our staff with several opportunities for professional development because it was a new environment. And so we used, again, those instructional planning days to focus on remote learning. And then we also had a suite of experiences for the teachers that help to strengthen their ability and their capacities to teach in a remote learning environment. And with that said, I will pass it over to Mr. Peterson, who's going to cover target 3.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the social emotional learning committee was something that was developed at the beginning of this year. Initially, we wanted to start it from a building level, but we thought we would approach it more from a more comprehensive district-wide level. Mr. Dole and myself were the two that did start this. We have 16 members. We've been meeting about once a month, a little bit more, just to kind of start this thing. But we, with our committee, we have representatives from each building. There's 16 total members within our SEL committee. We've broken into 3 subcategories or subcommittees, which would be student and family resources, teacher skill sets, and then staff social emotional health. So, we've all been doing certain things within our buildings just to address the social emotional learning side. But this committee was started to offer some more uniformity in our way that we can present it out to not only students but parents and then staff as well. And the one thing that we did not accomplish here this year, Mr. Dole, is we were trying to find a trendy SEL committee name. So we will take anything. We've tried multiple times to get something that sounded pretty cool. We weren't able to do this. We'll accept any suggestions for next year.
I know Daisy is going to translate for us the next slide. It's going to share with all of you that all the evidence and the end of the year status, blue items are the main pieces of evidence, and everything underneath are links for supporting pieces of evidence. So we're not going to go through them all now, but just for your review as you're looking through the document to check for our progress. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Daisy.
Thank you. Por ahorita vamos a dar una actualización de las metas y prioridades del fin de año. Aquí puede ver nuestros 5 metas de nuestro distrito que habló la doctora Sharma Lewis. Es excelencia académica, excelencia profesional, excelencia operacional, financiera y de comunicación. Para la primera meta, aquí puede ver en la mano izquierda, tenemos los objetivos, y el primer objetivo de nuestra meta de excelencia académica es fortalecer el liderazgo educativo y mejorar la calidad de la instrucción. Y a la mano derecha puede ver cada punto tiene su diferente enlace para la referencia de ustedes, que pueden hacer clic de nuevo ahí en el enlace. A la mano derecha tenemos el plan de aprendizaje profesional. Miramos cambios de nuestros calendarios escolares durante el año escolar para brindar a nuestras maestras tiempo para planificar durante el aprendizaje remoto. El segundo objetivo es el personal de enseñanza se enfocará en el marco de instrucción para la enseñanza remota, y a la mano derecha tiene el enlace del desarrollo profesional de aprendizaje remoto, que es un ejemplo. Y cada punto de nuevo da más información y una descripción del estado del último de año del distrito. Nuestro tercer objetivo es fortalecer el bienestar social, emocional, el aprendizaje y la participación de los estudiantes y el personal y las familias. Y a la mano derecha puede ver el resumen del Comité de Aprendizaje Social Emocional que acaba de hablar el subdirector, el señor Peterson. La comité era de 16 personal en total de todo el distrito. 3 personal de cada, había representación de cada edificio en esta comité.
All right, then goal 2 covers professional excellence, and target 1 is to establish a district-wide instructional coaching program. So this is something new this year. It was very exciting. We had the opportunity to onboard both Julie Pecoraro as our 6th through 8th grade engagement specialist, and then Tyler Smith as our instructional technology coach. And we were able to design a instructional coaching program around the research of Diane Sweeney, and we put together a framework that's included in this document that you can view. And then it has been throughout this year that we've utilized both of those individuals to help support teachers in their implementation of remote learning, which was a perfect timing to onboard someone like Tyler, and then to be able to support teachers in their craft and support them in their practice. And so again, there's several links here that relate to some of the work that they've done and some of the activities that they've provided for teachers. It's robust and it's something exciting, and it's something we're looking forward to expanding in the future. We know that when teachers have coaches to support their practice and their craft, they certainly benefit in terms of their performance down the road. So we're excited about that. And with that said, I will pass it over to Dr. Sharma Lewis for Target 2.
Thank you. And so similar to our teachers getting instructional coaching, we wanted to establish a district-wide leadership team coaching program to strengthen and improve our own teaching and learning process and to help us be stronger and more effective instructional leaders. So we enlisted the help of the Illinois Association of School Administrators. It's a new program that they had because they had a new Associate Director of Professional Development. So she initially started out meeting with us, talking about doing some instructional walks and how do we strengthen our own practice when we go in and observe and evaluate teachers and giving them more meaningful feedback to improve and enhance and strengthen their own instruction and then the student growth and outcomes. And so because we couldn't do the instructional walks in person, a lot of it turned into, as you can see, the attachment and the executive coaching of just a highlight of our meetings that each of the principals, Dr. Draga and I had on a monthly basis with her. And then I think as we go forward, we're going to continue as we strengthen and increase our instructional coaching capacity with teachers, working with the Consortium for Educational Change. We're going to do the same thing with our principals and our leadership team. And so we can be supporting what teachers are doing in the classroom. We're going to be able to do some instructional walkthroughs, look at those focused questions. What is it that we specifically need to look at when we go in and observe teachers, give them meaningful feedback, giving them things when we evaluate them that are effective and will improve not only their instruction, but student growth and outcomes. So we're going to continue with that process of district leadership team coaching. It's going to look a little bit different and who we're going to use to support us. We're still going to get the support of IASA, but we're going to work in conjunction with our instructional coaching team so that both of our practices are aligned. So with that, I'm going to have Target 3, Mr. Dole.
Yeah. So Target 3 just really address the special services department specifically in this continuing to support staff's needs and opportunities to grow professionally. So that link in blue there is just a highlight of all the different things that we offered as a district and did with special ed teachers, learning associates, the different related service team members. It doesn't include all the opportunities that they took advantage of on their own as well. I didn't have all that readily accessible to me, so I didn't include that, but I just wanted to highlight a lot of the different trainings that the district offered throughout the year, as well as some of those other links up there, just highlight some of the different ways that we look to kind of reflect on our work and continue to provide guidance towards improving our practice in the special education side of things. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Hanson for Target 4.
Target 4, enhancing and expanding support for District 76 staff regarding using technology and distance education teaching was one of the major goals that was important to us. One of the other elements was our families as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. By tackling that big goal and that target specifically, we need to ensure that we are obtaining quantitative data from our staff to ensure that we have the appropriate professional development that's personalized to their needs. Through collaboration with our instructional technology committee, including our instructional technology coach, we reviewed a lot of the data that was needed to be able to provide the appropriate professional development leading into the school year and throughout the school year to ensure that we are enhancing and expanding that support for all of our staff throughout this entire school year. In addition, throughout that process, our instructional technology coach and committee provided insight on professional development ideas and presentations specifically for staff that from reflecting on their own practices in the classroom as well as their counterparts in their team meetings to ensure that everybody's comfortable and can regards to professional development that's personalized, especially during this time this school year. So that is target 4.
Para la segunda meta de excelencia profesional que acaban de hablar los administradores, el primer objetivo es establecer un programa de entrenamiento instruccional en todo el distrito para mejorar los resultados de aprendizaje de los estudiantes a través del apoyo, la facilitación y el fortalecimiento de las prácticas de instrucción. De nuevo, a la mano derecha puede ver el estado del último de año y cada enlace que apoya el objetivo. Aquí puede ver el resumen del programa de entrenamiento instruccional. El distrito tiene un entrenador de tecnología instruccional que es el señor Tyler Smith, quien ayuda a apoyar a este programa. El segundo objetivo también tenemos es establecer un programa de entrenamiento de equipo de liderazgo en todo el distrito para fortalecer y mejorar los procesos de enseñanza y aprendizaje. A la mano derecha puede ver el enlace que apoya ese objetivo. Y lo que habló, de nuevo, este es un resumen de lo que acaba de hablar la doctora Sharma Lewis. Seguimos trabajando con IASA, que es la Asociación de Administradores de las Escuelas de Illinois, para mantener ese desarrollo profesional para nuestros administradores y para poder mejor ayudar y apoyar a nuestras maestras que están en los salones de clase con los estudiantes. Nuestro tercer objetivo es fortalecer la práctica profesional del personal de educación especial del Distrito 76 para apoyar las necesidades de todos los estudiantes. A la mano derecha puede ver el enlace para el desarrollo profesional de servicios especiales de este año escolar. Y de nuevo, con diferentes enlaces que apoyan ese objetivo también. Y nuestro cuarto objetivo es mejorar y expandir el apoyo para el personal del Distrito 76 con respecto al uso de tecnología y la enseñanza a distancia. Y a la mano derecha puede ver los enlaces que apoyan ese cuarto objetivo, que es el plan de instrucción para todo el distrito. Y de nuevo, esto nos proporciona desarrollo profesional para nuestro personal, y también tenemos una comité de tecnología instruccional que nos ayudó durante este año escolar a apoyar a nuestras maestras durante el aprendizaje remoto.
All right, goal 3, operational excellence. Target 1 really focused on the reorganization of the special education department with the addition of my role, and just providing support across the district to all of our special ed staff, with really the focus on building communication and continuity across buildings, providing, again, that professional development support, and just looking at programs and services and guiding teachers through what was remote learning and how that looks in the special ed world. So from the 420 board meeting, I have just included the special services department update, which really captured all the work that we had done this year as our main piece of evidence for that target. I'll pass it back to Lord Hanson.
For operationally, providing technology support and protocols for all stakeholders during distance learning, in-person, facilitated distance learning. It is very much essential to be able to provide the appropriate guidance, to seek out information from all of our stakeholders, to ensure that there is support and there's protocols in place to properly communicate throughout this entire school year. One element that we talked about is our IT help desk protocols that provided insight for our families, provided insight for our staff, and given direction regarding technology help ticket protocols. Where do I go for assistance? What's the appropriate methodology of getting that assistance and support, and ensuring that our staff and our families are getting the appropriate communication and response rate that's immediate, but on top of that, that we're all aware of what those procedures are. And that continuously changed from last year to over the course of this year to ensure that there is support, and that's continuing throughout the school year. Additionally, we always want to incorporate the appropriate feedbacks and support. So we, as I mentioned before, we incorporate a staff and family technology support surveys to obtain appropriate information to provide support and guidance as we provided for our staff for professional development, as well as created a professional technology learning center resource that has all of the professional development we provided our families for all the technology learning nights. So it is very important to continually provide technology support throughout this school year. And we're very much happy to provide all these avenues for our families and our staff. And we're on
Target 3, I feel like we've been just living all year with being responsive and ready to adapt to the changing needs of our local, state, and federal educational expectations and directives and execute a successful remote and in-person learning models. So the first link that you see here is our roadmap for return to school plan. We started out from August to December being completely remote and then offering a facilitated distance learning academy for those students and families who had needs or who had special learning needs or were at risk. So we had facilitated distance learning academy for 60 students from September through December. And then that return to school roadmap was a fluid document that changed when we came back after winter break, and we were allowed to have staff back into the building in February. And then in mid-February, we had a hybrid model where we had students back until the early part of April, where we've been back full time for about 70% of our students all day, every day. So that return to school roadmap pretty much reflects our plan from August to now. It changed where we had remote learning to 100% remote learning to then which was called our Distance Learning Academy. And then we had a hybrid model in there, and then we just had the in-person learning model. So all of those, the curriculum, the instruction, the schedule for the days are all outlined in there, as well as our COVID decision-making protocol when a staff member or student does get infected, or so what is it, protocols that we have to use as far as decision-making to communicate out to quarantine, and how do we share that information, as well as our health and safety plan. I know Mr. Rogers is going to go over that in detail in goal 4, but just talking about the new updated guidelines and mandates for safety, sanitation, and cleaning. So all of those are the supporting documents for that roadmap for return to school.
Para la tercera meta es nuestra excelencia operacional. Aquí puede ver en la mano izquierda nuestros objetivos. El primer objetivo es implementar la reorganización del Departamento de Educación Especial para apoyar a las necesidades de los estudiantes, el personal y las familias. A la mano derecha puede ver el enlace de la presentación que dio el señor Dole a nuestra mesa directiva el 20 de abril, que da una actualización del Departamento de Servicios Especiales. Y esto es una guía para las maestras y maestros del Departamento de Educación Especial. Nuestro segundo objetivo de esta meta es brindar el apoyo tecnológico y protocolos para todas las partes interesadas durante el aprendizaje a distancia y el aprendizaje a distancia facilitada que teníamos en el principio del año. A la mano derecha puede ver el enlace de los protocolos del Centro de Ayuda de TI, que es IT, tecnología instruccional. El señor Hansen habló sobre la importancia de esto, porque eso nos ayudó a apoyar a los padres cuando necesitaban este apoyo con respecto a la tecnología, sabiendo a quién pueden contactar, los procesos y luego poder recibir las respuestas a un tiempo apropiado. El tercer objetivo es ser receptivo y estar listo para adaptarse a las necesidades cambiantes de las expectativas y directivas educativas locales, estatales, federales, y ejecute modelos exitosos de aprendizaje remoto y en persona. Y a la mano derecha puede ver el enlace de los documentos que apoyan eso, que puede ver es la hoja de ruta del plan de regreso a la escuela, que cambió durante el año escolar, pero siempre estábamos comunicando con nuestras familias cuando estaba actualizada esto. Y ese documento dio actualizaciones de los días y los horarios de las escuelas. También ahí puede ver las guías de cuando teníamos la academia de aprendizaje a distancia facilitada, los planes de salud y seguridad y los otros enlaces para apoyar ese objetivo de nuestra meta de excelencia operacional.
All right, goal area 4, financial excellence. The first target is to provide resources and support for safe return for students and staff. All the credit goes to our maintenance crew and custodial staff. We put together a robust health and safety plan its effort to be as transparent as possible for staff and students. So we provided all the cleaning materials that we're going to be using, showing that we had it all approved on the N list. It was proven to kill the COVID-19 virus. We hired additional cleaning staff, produced videos explaining what teachers should expect when they return to their classrooms, and really tried to ease some of their fears when they came back. And I think it really worked seamlessly. We've had a lot of success with students and staff coming back, maintaining social distance, wearing their masks. We're able to bring in-house COVID testing to keep students in classrooms longer. So, we've been really happy with. We wish we were able to start the year a little earlier, but now that we did, we were well prepared to have a effective end of the school year. Target 2, maintain rigid budgetary controls, and the goal is for $500,000 surplus this year. I've not had a target yet that put a monetary goal on a surplus, but it's something that we're on track for, and something that I've really been hopeful for, just based on all the future uncertainty. This is before we knew ESSER 1, 2, and 3 were around, and some additional resources might be available for schools. And we really didn't know when we were going to be able to open and what all we needed to provide. So, we really try to be fiscally conservative and provide the necessary materials for everyone to operate. But still plan for the future and not overspend. So we were buying materials a year in advance before students were even in the classroom. So we didn't really know what we needed. We just know we wanted to be ready when they did. So some of the documents attached are a little bit retroactive. We don't have the end audited numbers, but in June I'll provide some preliminary numbers for everybody where we're at. Target 3, plan, bid, and implement summer 21 construction projects. This is something that we're really excited about. It's the culmination of, I think, 5 years of planning. We started off, meeting about the referendum. I think Ms. Yap's kitchen, or no, it was Mr. Hoffman's kitchen there. And, it's been a long road of everyone working together as a community. We were able to build our building envelope to replace roofs, HVAC systems, our large group spaces from our libraries, cafeterias, gyms. And the classrooms has always been the item that we've wanted to do the most, but you needed the most money to do it. So our combination of our debt certificate bonds, and I think just really conservative construction planning, we're able to do that this summer. So all classrooms are going to be renovations, painting, lighting, flooring, furniture, and technology. So the best part is the furniture that we're going to get future-proofs us for anything that happened that may happen again like this. So we no longer have those big bulky furniture. We have mobile pieces of equipment that can go together and do collaborative workspaces, but at the same time, if we need to separate out, we have that capability. So it's going to be very exciting to get that project going. And we're also renovating our unit ventilators at Diamond Lake School. So the main goal of ESSER 2 was to improve indoor air quality. So combination of that and our life safety funds, we're able to replace all of our classroom unit ventilators, which is our heating system, and then put updated controls on it, because our machines are 35 plus years old. They're dinosaurs. So we're able to bring in outdoor air consistently and really adhere to the CDC guidelines for improving indoor air quality. And also we're able to replace our main cooling system here at Westo. So after this construction's over, we have nothing we need to do for 20 years. This building, all these buildings are going to be secure and updated. And last, increase food service participation during the school year. We've been serving meals for 5 days a week since the school year ended in the 1920 year, and we've expanded to serve meals for 7 days a week. We've been really pushing out towards the community, working with church groups, working with some outsourced businesses, and really partnering to try to provide meals. So it's been kind of an up and down process. We've worked with surveys with parents. Food's been readily available, which is a good thing, but we've been able to service our community and provide the resources they needed. This summer, we're really excited to bring some new meal options based on the feedback we've received. We're going to provide these big food boxes, almost like HelloFresh, if you ever heard of that. So it's going to be a bunch of meal ingredients. They're going to have cards as far as like, here's what you can make for the week. So, and we're really targeted towards a lot of our community members too. We're providing rice, beans, tortillas, make your own pizzas, things like that. And it's going to be a rotating every single week, and every student gets a week's worth of free. So gallon of milk, oat bread, every kid a day. So a lot of food that's going to be coming this summer, and we're excited to try it out.
Para nuestra cuarta meta, que es excelencia financiera, les voy a dar un resumen de lo que acaba de hablar el señor Rogers, que es nuestro director de finanzas y operaciones. Para nuestro primer objetivo para esta meta es proporcionar liderazgo, recursos y sistemas de apoyo para garantizar un ambiente seguro y limpio para los estudiantes y el personal. Le dio muchas gracias a nuestro departamento de mantenimiento, quien nos ayudó durante todo este proceso, durante todo este año escolar, y a la mano derecha puede ver el enlace de los diferentes protocolos de limpieza y desinfección, porque eso fue aumentado durante el año escolar, y con estos esfuerzos también proporcionamos videos para las maestras y maestros de nuestro distrito para que ellos tengan un sentido de ver cómo se miraría cuando regresan a la escuela y estén adentro de nuestros edificios. Y esos fueron algunos de nuestros esfuerzos. Para el segundo objetivo es mantener controles presupuestarios rígidos durante el año escolar 2021 debido a la incertidumbre sobre la financiación futura. A la mano derecha puede ver los documentos presupuestarios y de nuestra auditoría anual. Para nuestro tercer objetivo era planificar, licitar y implementar proyectos de construcción del verano 2021. El señor Rogers dio actualizaciones de proyectos individuales de cada edificio. Siempre estamos aquí para si tienen preguntas o si quieren reunirse con nosotros para saber más de esto, pero a la mano derecha puede ver el enlace para los documentos que apoyan ese objetivo, que es la encuesta actualizada de 10 años sobre seguridad. Para nuestro cuarto objetivo es aumentar la participación del servicio de alimentos durante el año escolar y hacerlo más accesible. A la mano derecha puede ver el enlace del documento de resumen del negocio de servicio de alimentos. Comunicamos encuestas para nuestros padres, para los estudiantes y los padres. Al principio del año empezamos proporcionando comida para 5 días de la semana y aumentamos a 7. Y otra cosa que habló el señor Rogers es que este verano vamos a ver unos cambios en la comida que vamos a proporcionar, que va a cambiar. Vamos a dar diferentes comidas como arroz, frijoles, tortillas y pizza, diferentes comidas que vamos a tratar de proporcionar para nuestra comunidad y en nuestras familias.
Our last goal area is excellence in communication, goal 5. Our first target is to utilize the community liaison to strengthen the homeschool partnership and provide needed educational and wellness resources and supports to students and families. And so with the board's generous support, we created the position last year to support our community and our families in need. And our own Daisy Carrera is our community liaison. And she has created, with the help of Mr. Hansen, a website with resources. And initially, this couldn't come at a better time. Obviously, we had initiated the position and the program for remote learning for our students who weren't able to connect and or our families who weren't able to connect to us without coming in person. So Daisy established a student needs referral form. And that was a form that was available to all staff members, and they would just complete that if there were students that weren't present in class or that they expressed an area of need, whether they needed a resource, whether they needed academic help or social emotional help or physical help or just, as far as food and resources. So she was able to connect with those families and able to connect them to any community resource that we had. She worked very closely with Mr. Rogers and food service program, had a lot of food drives, as well as holiday events to support those families' needs, establish partnerships not only with the community and the high school, but also other churches, and had ongoing events to support those families that she identified with that student referral form. Also worked closely with the high school and did some academic programs for social emotional learning, and brought that program here to the Black Student Union with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. She's going to send out a survey next week to staff as well as to families who utilize the community liaison resource help and see, what, if anything, did they use? How, was it valuable? And any suggestions for improvement for next year? Daisy's going to give a very in-depth and detailed presentation at the June 22nd board meeting of all of the goals and outcomes that she herself had with the position and the department. So we'll be going over that more in detail, but we just wanted to give you a highlight of the position and the accomplishments just in the 1 year that she has achieved. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hansen, who's going to go over targets 2 and 3.
As mentioned previously, one of the big goals is enhancing and expanding support for our staff. For goal 2, our target 2 for excellence in communication was enhancing and expanding support for our D76 families regarding use of technology, distance education learning, and facilitating from home. Just like for our staff, it was essential to obtain important information for our families, so we utilized our parent technology learning survey to obtain a tremendous amount of information from our families to know about what do you need to know in regards to learning during this time, because it's essential and it's meaningful for us to be able to disseminate the appropriate information to our families to enhance that support. Throughout that, we took all that information, developed a resource that was mentioned before as our Parent Technology Center, as well as provided specific targeted parent learning nights in English and Spanish to support both families regarding the language and presentation appropriately presented, as well as provided those resources that live on our Parent Technology Center website. Additionally, it was very much important to ensure that all of our families are continuing to communicate, and nowadays when it comes to communication, you need to be connected to high-speed internet. So throughout that, through our registration process, which we continue to do, we always ask our families, do you have internet access for student use at home? That's essential because we need to know that our families are connected, that our students, especially now, are connected so that they have the ability to continue during the remote time and as we transition back to in-person learning. So we're fortunate enough to be able to obtain as many hotspots as possible to ensure all of our families are connected connected and are communicating with us. Moving into target 3, increasing effectiveness and efficiency of internal district communications. One of the things that we continually use, we can continually communicate in many different mediums. So whether it's communicating through our school messenger service, which sends out email, text, phone blasts, as well as social media, and so on and so forth. We have many different outlets. However, how to make that effective and efficient is very important to us, and to ensure that district-wide, whether from the district, school level, that we're communicating, that we're not overlapping, that we're not bombarding our stakeholders. We get so much communication. We utilize a communication team that reviews a communication calendar that has targeted dates of when we're communicating to ensure that it's effective. It's being any sort of, whether it's school-based or district-wide communications is sent out at appropriate times and they're not overlapping. Many different communications we utilize over the course of the years are quite often surveys, but these surveys are meaningful and it gives us an understanding, a snapshot every year as we progress. And so 3 evidences we have on here are our parent engagement survey, our 2020 staff and support and success survey, and our staff culture and climate survey. These happen every year. This gives us gauge and understanding how well are we communicating. Additionally, obviously the content is driven from the surveys as well. So that is target 3 in excellence in communication.
Para nuestra quinta meta es excelencia en comunicaciones. Perdón, estoy mirando que no está interpretada la meta de arriba, pero nuestra quinta meta es excelencia de comunicaciones y nuestros objetivos son estos 3. La primera es utilizar el enlace comunitario para fortalecer la asociación entre el hogar y la escuela y proporcionar los recursos y apoyos educativos y de bienestar necesario para los estudiantes y nuestras familias. La doctora Chamberlain habló sobre, le dimos la gracia a nuestra mesa directiva del distrito, quien apoyó a esta posición que es la mía. Tengo en mi sitio web y recursos del enlace comunitario en nuestro sitio web y luego también. Y esto nos ayuda, tenemos recursos como comida, ropa, recursos con diferentes diferentes agencias en el condado de Lake para poder ayudar a nuestros padres si necesitan ayuda de salud mental, apoyos en casa, tecnología, y otras cosas que hemos establecido de este departamento. Puede ver el enlace de las colaboraciones que están establecidas dentro de nuestro distrito con las maestras, maestros, diferentes departamentos, pero también, como he hablado, diferentes agencias en el condado de Lake. Hay un formulario disponible para nuestras maestras y maestros donde ellos me pueden comunicar si hay un estudiante que necesita ropa en casa, si necesita comida, si necesita ayuda con tecnología, si necesita ayuda con intérprete. Y esto da la oportunidad de mantener un conocimiento en cada edificio para poder ayudar a nuestros estudiantes y a las familias, porque hemos visto la necesidad y la importancia durante este tiempo. También he colaborado con la high school, con la Unión de Estudiantes Afroamericanos y nuestros estudiantes de la escuela secundaria de West Oak que van a moverse para la high school. Y luego de parte de este departamento voy a dar una presentación en la reunión de la Junta Educativa el 22 de junio. Para nuestro segundo objetivo es mejorar y ampliar el apoyo de las familias del Distrito 76 con respecto al uso de la tecnología y el aprendizaje, la facilitación de la educación a distancia desde el hogar. El señor Hansen habló sobre el Centro de Tecnología para Padres y Noches de Aprendizaje de Desarrollo Profesional para ellos. Él facilitaba estas reuniones para nuestros padres y las teníamos disponibles en inglés y español para poder ayudar y apoyar a nuestros padres que necesitaban esa educación de tecnología durante este tiempo, porque miramos que todos estábamos aprendiendo diferentes cosas de temas de tecnología durante aprendizaje remoto. También hablamos de los puntos de internet. El distrito dio 47 de los 50 hotspots o puntos de internet para poder apoyar a nuestras familias. Para nuestro tercer objetivo es aumentar la efectividad y eficiencia de los procesos de comunicación internos del distrito, proporcionando estructuras, herramientas, horarios y expectativas. A la mano derecha puede ver el estado del último año, el documento del calendario de comunicaciones. Tenemos un equipo de comunicaciones quien ayuda a comunicar a nuestros padres actualizaciones de las comunicaciones importantes que están pasando durante nuestro distrito y los días que los mandamos y los horarios. Y aquí de nuevo es una descripción de cómo apoya ese objetivo.
So on our path of continuous improvement, we are going to review and reflect the goals and accomplishments from this year, 2021. And then as we prepare for next year and work this summer, we're going to draft our 21 and 22 goals and priorities. And we're going to look at those and meet with different stakeholders and staff to either continue, update, and or create new goals depending on how we did this year. So each of the principals are going to meet with their building leadership teams. Dr. Draga's going to meet with the instructional leadership team. Mr. Hansen's going to meet with the instructional technology team. Mr. Joel is going to meet with the special education leadership team. And then I'll continue our work in overseeing the professional advisory council. And then after hearing from each of our teacher leader groups, come up with what are the draft goals for the 21-22 school year to be presented to you in August of this year or September of this year, depending on how much time we're able to work with them in the summer.
Para nuestros próximos pasos, continuaremos revisando y reflejando en los éxitos del año escolar 2021. Y también tenemos ahorita el borrador o un documento que no está finalizado todavía de metas y prioridades del año escolar 21-22. Vamos a continuar, actualizar o crear lo que tenemos en cuenta ahorita de parte de nuestro distrito, que tenemos el equipo de liderazgo de edificios, equipo equipos de liderazgo instruccional, equipo de tecnología instruccional, equipo de liderazgo de educación especial y el consejo asesor profesional del distrito.
And as we look ahead, our priorities are going to continue to be for the 21-22 school year, just as they have been in the past, especially more than ever this year, is focus on a healthy, not only physically, but also emotionally and culture and climate for our students and our staff. Make sure that we have relevant and current educational experience, educational standards to address the unfinished teaching and learning that has occurred the past 16 months. Make sure those practices are rigorous instruction using those instructional coaches and the support that we have in place. Make sure that we have a robust program for accountability with our assessments, effective and ongoing professional development, not only for our staff, but also for our leadership team. Having that strong social and emotional supports and connection, not only with the committee, but also with our community liaison and the surveys together with feedbacks and measure our success and growth. Continue with our ongoing and consistent communication. Provide family and parent education and resources, expand not only from technology, but also in the area of special education and how we can support them in classroom learning. Continue with our safe and sanitized facilities, especially as more students and staff are coming back in the fall. Make sure that we base our decisions on data, subjective as well as objective data. Continue to practice fiscally responsible practices, making sure all of our purchases align with our goals. And then continue our community support and outreach, as we've been doing not only with our community liaison, but also with just as a leadership team and with the staff, making sure that our community feels welcome in our facilities. And then after Ms. Carrera translate, we'll open the floor for questions and comments from the board.
Mirando hacia adelante, nuestro continuado enfoque y prioridades para el próximo año escolar 21-22 es la cultura y clima saludables dentro de nuestros edificios, físicamente y emocionalmente para los estudiantes y el personal, seguir los estándares educativos relevantes y actuales para abordar la enseñanza y aprendizaje inconclusos, prácticas de instrucción rigurosas, programas sólidos y tomar responsabilidad, desarrollo profesional efectivo y continuo, apoyos y conexiones sociales y emocionales fuertes para nuestro personal, para todo nuestro personal y también el equipo de liderazgo del distrito, nuestra comunicación continua y constante, educación y recursos para padres y familias, instalaciones seguras y desinfectadas, que es algo muy importante ya que nuestros estudiantes van a regresar para el próximo año escolar, y también nuestro personal. Procesos de hacer decisiones basados en los datos, prácticas fiscalmente responsables y apoyo y alcance comunitario para que todos se sientan que estén bienvenidos dentro de nuestro distrito. Y ahorita vamos a abrir comunicación y discusión con nuestra mesa directiva.
Thank you, Daisy. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I'll start. Look, this is great stuff. You've had a tremendous year. I mean, it's been a very difficult year, and the entire leadership team and teachers and really everybody has risen to the occasion and done just a great job. And the summary certainly shows, or at least summarizes, all of the, or at least at a high level, all of the great work that you've done. So really appreciate it and very grateful for everything that you've done. And now, unfortunately, I'm not an educator. So, and we have a couple on the board, but not all of us are. And I know that in the 5 goals with the targets within them is a great framework and a great structure to use. Makes all the sense in the world. And some of the, particularly the first 3 goals are very, just say education industry centric. The last two, finance and communication, can apply similarly anywhere, but the first three are very centric to this industry. And as I went through them and as you discussed them, I know that they're impactful. And in some cases, it came to the surface, but in many cases, I felt like there's just a lot of, there's a list of a lot of activities, which I know are important. And I'll click to a lot of additional lists of activities, which I know are important. But what I know for me would really bring it to life, and I'm not saying today, but for each target to have, just one very specific actionable use or impact or implication of it, or an implication that it will have, or it did have, or what we hope it will have, just to help bring it to life to somebody like me, or somebody maybe who's listening in, who doesn't quite understand the full meaning behind everything that you're doing and everything that you're going through. Because I'm sure it's important, because sort of getting to where we got to this year doesn't happen by itself. And I'd love to, over time, just better understand a little bit more as to, okay, when we do, why are we doing that? What's one sort of example? Okay, it's to such and such. Now, in some areas, it did bubble to the surface, actionable examples. And in some areas, it was left to somebody like me trying to infer it, and all chances are I'm not going to come up with the best or optimal reason why you were doing it. So again, I think you've done a fabulous job, and just as we're, as we go forward in the future, I think it would be even more impactful with just even one, maybe two in certain cases, specific examples per target.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna piggyback on what John said. First of all, thank you, all of you, for all of the information you presented tonight. Obviously, we understand what a challenging year it's been. We appreciate the flexibility. I mean, I know that your goals obviously changed, as the year went on, and you guys have all done a fantastic job really pivoting and kind of rolling with the punches, and our staff and teachers and students have done that as well. So to John's point, I think it would help us as a board if we understood, like, what is your expected outcome with every goal? And we do, like he said, in some places it's very obvious, but because we don't necessarily have the background, and because we're not necessarily in the buildings on a day-to-day basis, it helps us to understand, like, what results were you expecting? And I'm sure based on all of this evidence that you all have that, kind of in your minds, you all have kind of your set outcome or set expectation, but to communicate that out to the board, and I think also out to the public, is very helpful, because then we can see, if you anticipated a certain amount of student growth, or, due to changes in the curriculum, you anticipated, being able to make up a certain amount of standards that might have been missed last year, or, we offer different social and emotional support, so that we have better student engagement, you could see its attendance rise, or things like that. I think that just helps the board have a better sense of how these really translated into what happened with the kids this year. So just to piggyback on that, that's the kind of information I think that we're always looking for, because it's easier for us to measure that and to say, like, wow, we know you guys did an excellent job, but now that we can see, like, here's where you thought you would be and here's where you ended up, and then we can, give you the proper credit for that. So I think that that's something that's really helpful to us.
Is there one in particular, like, I'm looking, for example, and I'm asking the question to clarify, not only for myself, but I think for the team. Like, for example, the first target, and goal 1, strengthen instructional leadership and improve instructional quality. So creating a professional learning plan. So that is, if I click on that. That's basically our framework for how teachers are evaluated and observed. And then the professional development that occurs, throughout the year and the schedule. So you're saying because of this, we were able to get X amount of student growth or X amount of participation in professional development.
Yes.
And we had X amount of teachers earn this on their evaluations, something specific. Because of this plan, this is what happened.
Yes, so exactly. So here's your goal, but how does your goal get to a certain outcome? Because otherwise, I feel like sometimes the goals are just yes or no. And we know that you're doing more than just a yes or no. So we would like to be able to give you the credit for that.
I think anywhere where we can place quantifiable measures of growth and programming, like for example, in your goal to target for enhance and expand support for these staff. So what did that look like? What was the expansion that you were looking to target, and was that target met? I think if we had more metrics, it'd be easier for us to understand how these goals are being utilized kind of in like a day-to-day sort of quantifiable way. Like for example, I think under goal 1, we've heard a lot about instructional coaching, I feel like, this year. And what I would like to know specifically under that goal is, what does the success of instructional coaching look like? So like, is it student performance, student growth that you're looking for? Is that the success of instructional coaching? Is it the quality of teaching? And how is that measurable? How do we measure that? How do we know if it's a successful program? I think from a board's perspective, it's really helpful if you can see.
I would say quantitative is always great, and even anecdotal is great. Just
I mean, like, for example, in goal 4, just to give you an example, in goal 4, where it talks that in target 4, where it talks about increasing the food service participation, that business summary shows us exactly how it increased. So like, we have no question that you were able to significantly expand that. But sometimes if you leave it to us to infer, we don't know what we're looking at or what we're supposed to be inferring.
And I think the ultimate goal for goal area 1 and 2 specifically is student growth, right? So
Right.
when Dr. Drock presents in June, at the end of the year, of all our student assessment and growth data, all of these things contribute to that. So the professional development plan, the instructional coaching, the district leadership coaching, all the things that we've talked about, the strategic planning calendar, everything that we've put in place, ultimately, that's our goal. Like those 3, all of these things that we're doing should result in higher student growth.
Sure, and no, that's perfect. So when we have that presentation and that can tie back into this, I think that that gives us, additional information. Sometimes it helps us as we're looking at the goals to go along, like if you have, and obviously the last year and a half has not been a great example of this, right? Because you can't really, nobody could have planned for any of this. You can't plan for how many kids are gonna show up on a given day remotely or whatever. So it makes it very challenging. You guys have all done an excellent job dealing with this. But if you have in mind, like for the fall, based on what Isbia said, as normal as it could be is, what we're anticipating, right? So if for the fall you say, when you're looking at goal 1, like we're expecting an increase in student performance of X%, or however you want to measure that. So we have an idea going into the goals, and then at the end you can see, and whether or not we hit that target or surpass it or don't meet that in certain areas, then you kind of can tell the story of what happened, and then we have a better kind of framework, I think, to understand.
Okay, that's helpful.
Does anyone else have any questions? I know we have some people that have been very patiently waiting for us to get on the business agenda, and so we will do that. And we're gonna go a little bit out of order and start with item I. Item I is the personnel resolution to approve the administrative contracts for Diamond Lake School Principal Dr. Erica Berger and Director of Special Services Dr. Kelly Olson. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the contracts for Dr. Erica Berger as Principal of Diamond Lake School and Dr. Kelly Olson as Director of Special Services as presented. May I have a motion to approve?
Second. Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan? Yes. Ms. Angarola? Yes. Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Ms. Kwan? Yes.
The motion is approved. Congratulations. Welcome to the family.
Now it's time for bed.
Thank you.
Oh, that's.
Okay, and now we will go back to the top of the agenda, starting with the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If anyone, board member, staff, administrator, or citizen wishes to have a separate vote on any item or items, that item or items will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Be it resolved that Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the omnibus vote agenda items A through E as listed. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola? Yes. Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes,
Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Sullivan? Yes.
that motion is approved. Moving on to item B, which is approving the health insurance rates. Whereas the District 76 Insurance Committee has met and considered the recommendations from Allied Benefit Systems for insurance rates fiscal year 22 for the plan year beginning July 1, 2021. And whereas the Insurance Committee has provided a recommendation for rates for approval by the board, therefore be it resolved the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education approves the establishment of health and dental insurance rates as presented. May I have a motion to approve? Second.
Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes,
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan? Yes.
that motion passes. The next item is item C, approving the resolution for appointment of treasurer. Whereas the school code 105 ILCS 5/8-1 instructs the trustees of schools to appoint a treasurer who shall be the custodian of school funds and responsible for all receipts, disbursements, and investments of the school funds, and pays orders issued by the school board. And whereas Mr. Eric Rogers will assume the position of Director of Finance and Operation on July 1st, 2021, and possesses the qualifications set forth in section 5-1B of the school code, therefore be it resolved the Diamond Lake School District Board of Education appoints Mr. Eric Rogers to serve as treasurer for Diamond Lake School District 76 for a 1-year period, beginning on July 1st, 2021, for the annual compensation of $3,000. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes,
Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Sullivan?
that motion is approved. Moving on to item D, which is approving the resolution for treasurer's bond. Whereas the school code 105 ILCS 5/8-2 requires each treasurer of a school district to be properly bonded. The penalty of the bond shall be 25% of the amount of all bonds, notes, mortgages, monies, and effects of which the treasurer is left custody. Therefore, be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education approves the application with broker's risk for the treasurer's bond. May I have a motion to approve?
Move. Second. Ms. Sullivan? Yes. Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Angarola? Yes. Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes,
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
that motion is approved. Moving on to the amended 2021-2022 school year. Be it resolved, calendar. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the amended 2021-2022 school year calendar as presented by the district leadership team to reflect the correct number of attendance days, the naming of Indigenous Peoples' Days, and the date changes of spring parent-teacher conferences and Institute Day. May I have a motion to approve?
Second. Ms. Kwan, yes. Ms. Bayless? Yes. Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
That motion is approved. Moving on to the 2021-2022 board meeting dates. Whereas the Open Meetings Act requires each public body to give public notice of its schedule of dates, times, and places for regular meetings at the beginning of each calendar or fiscal year, and whereas sections 10-6 and 10-16 of the school code require each school board at its organizational meeting following each biennial election of members to set the time and place for the board's regular meetings. Therefore, be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education approves their 2021-2022 meeting calendar as follows. Monthly meetings to be held at West Oak Campus, 26-156 North Acorn Lane, Mundelein, on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, except where noted. Or monthly meetings, oh, are we picking?
Yeah.
Okay. Should have read that closer. Okay, so we are choosing, basically, it's the difference of the September meeting.
Yeah, so
Correct.
having the September 8th meeting or not, or only having one September meeting.
Okay, so I think last time we had discussed not having the September 8th meeting and then just adding that back if needed. Is that correct? Does anyone have any objections to that? Okay, then we will go with monthly meetings to be held at West Oak Campus, 26-156 North Acorn Lane, Mundelein, on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, except where noted, July 2021, September 2021, December 2021, and January 2022. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kwan, yes. Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Moving on to item G, which is the district consolidated plan. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education approves the consolidated district plan as presented. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Ms. Kwan, yes. Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Okay, and then moving on to our final item, which is the personnel item. Be it resolved, the Diamond Lake 76 Board of Education accepts and approves the personnel item as depicted on the agenda. We have one new hire. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Angarola?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Ms. Kwan? Yes. Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion is approved, and that concludes our business agenda for this evening. Moving on to board discussion. Do we have any items for board discussion?
No, I'm just looking at one to make sure.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect. Okay, so we don't have anything for board discussion. We did not have any freedom of information requests. So moving on to notices and communications.
Okay, there's several items in your packet for notices and communication, and the first one is always there as a reference. It's just the current board meeting calendar and this year for 2021. The second item is the board orientation agenda and topics. So it's there just as a reference and review. So if any board members have anything they want to add or change or update, you can see the schedule for June 16th. With our attorney, Sarah Bocek, will be there presenting on those topics. And then on June 17th, the district office cabinet will be presenting an overview of each of their departments. So if there's something that you would like to see, like I said, or you want to add to it, please just email me or Lisa, and we'll make sure that that's updated. But it's just there for you, for your reference and review. And then the third item, item C, is just a board manual. It's something that we've kind of put together as a compilation from another school district of just an overview of what the board's role and responsibility is. So it's there for your review. If you'd like a paper copy, please let Lisa know. We'll be happy to print one out and give it to you next time. But it really just talks about the board's role, relationship, what the packet is, what the purpose of our meetings are, board activities, and then new members as well as for current members, is just a review. Item D, fourth item is the end of the year dates. As with any typical school year, there are end of the year activities that board members are more than welcome and invited to. So next Wednesday will be a virtual ceremony for National Junior Honor Society. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, the 25th, 26th, and 27th, is each school's end of the year celebration where we recognize and celebrate our retirees as well as years of service staff member. So any board member is available, or excuse me, is invited, available to attend. Can do that at Woodfire Tavern. And then on Wednesday, June 2nd, is our 8th grade promotion ceremony. As you can see this year, due to the requirements, we have to separate it 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. to accommodate both student groups and their families. There is a detailed letter as a second attachment in item D from Mr. Cunningham talking about what those promotion activities will look like. So if any board members are available and you'd like to attend, you are welcome to do so. You'll be having a seat up on the stage. And then item E is just a thank you note from our union and specifically from our union president, Dr. Barong, just thanking the board and the district leadership team for the gift for Teacher Appreciation Week. And then the last item, item F, is ISB's resolution that, and I've got to increase this so I can read it. Yeah. But I've attached it in there for you. The Illinois State Board of Education is going to be meeting within the week, and they're going to look at passing this resolution. And really the most important paragraph is the last paragraph, where it says that the declaration that the Illinois State Board of Education is saying is beginning with the 21-22 school year, all schools must resume fully in-person learning for all student attendance days, provided that pursuant to Illinois School Code 105, 510-30, and Illinois School Code 5-34-1866, remote instruction is made available for students who are not eligible for a COVID vaccine and are under a quarantine order by local public health department or the Illinois Department of Public Health. So I don't know if any of you received it, but because all of your students are in person, but for those families who are remote right now or participating in Distance Learning Academy, we sent out a survey last week asking them if they will be returning to school in the fall. And we received about, I want to say 90 of the 200, so 270, and I don't want to misquote, 270 students that are remote. So our principals are reaching out to each of the families that have not responded yet to see if they'll be returning in person. And then we are concurrently working with our Lake County counterparts to see what kind of virtual activities there are, virtual programs that there will be for those students that require it. So we'll continue to keep you posted. Nothing has been finalized yet. We'll come back with hopefully a real life number in the next couple weeks of how many students are going to be returning, and for the students who can't return and have a medical reason not to return, then we're going to have to provide alternative virtual programs for that. And like I said, that we're working with Lake County school districts on as far as what does that look like? Is it a consortium program, and how much will that cost us per student? So I'll come back once we have more detailed information.
So in terms of this resolution, that last sentence, students are not eligible for a vaccine and it's in bold, and are under a quarantine order. Is that to be interpreted to mean that they must meet both conditions in order to qualify for remote instruction, or is that?
That's the way I'm reading it. I'm going to wait to see how the resolution is approved and then what communication comes out of the state. So once this meeting is held, and then I'm sure Dr.
So not just if you're not eligible for the vaccine, you have to also be under quarantine.
Correct.
When did you say they expect to vote on that?
I think that their meeting is tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
This week.
Sounds similar to if a child had a medical reason to be out of school, just in general, not necessarily necessarily COVID related, but had a medical need to be, remote or homeschool, a tutor.
Right.
It sounds very similar, the wording.
So I'll keep you updated as soon as we get information on that. I'm sure we'll hear something tomorrow or Thursday. And that is all I have.
Okay, then we will move on to public comments and petitions on non-agenda items. If we have any public comments, please again, take those into the chat box and we'll read them into the meeting. Oh, Eric, we can't see the screen anymore.
I figured you wanted me to announce them.
Oh, no, that's fine. There's nothing, okay. Let us know if something comes up. Others, the only thing I had under others was I wanted to remind everyone, at the last meeting, we briefly talked about, we need, a district representative for CEDAL's governing board. They meet quarterly. So if you are interested in doing that, please let me know. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same person. I believe they're meeting virtually right now. So, hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. But again, please let me know so we can communicate with them who that representative will be. And that is it for others, unless anyone else has anything. No? Okay. Then we are going to adjourn to executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. Can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Candela?
Yes.
Ms. Andriola?
Yes.
Ms. Bayless?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Halpin?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn? Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you.